Yo, make them say, Well, as you can tell, old Matty Boy is not here tonight, the leader of the crew. So we got this is old Craft Man, and got my boy M. Braddock in the building. Say what's up.
What's up?
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is the Crew's Dynasty podcast. We ain't got no Twitter handles around here. Ian, you got a Twitter handle?
Hell no, I ain't tweeted since I was in, what is that, 2010 maybe? Something like that. I don't know. I don't Twitter.
Well, all the professionals got Twitter handles. If I knew Matt's Twitter handle, I would give it out now, but we're going to miss you this episode, man. We got me trying to host this thing. If you hear the first 2 minutes of me hosting, just stick with it. We'll figure it out as it goes.
We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right.
But before we start, 5-star review always. And, hit us up, hit Matt up on Twitter, hit up my cell phone, hit up Ian's cell phone, and we'll just get down to the nitty gritty. We're going to talk some fantasy for y'all nerds today.
Ooh, I love fantasy and I love nerds. Like, I'm a football nerd and I'm also a nerd, but nobody really knows. Anyway, let's talk about the fake stuff, cousin. Come on, let's get them started.
We'll talk about the fake stuff. So we're going to hit this off with the news. Ian, I'm going to let you go ahead and hit it up right here. What you got on the news, anything you miss out on. I got some stuff written down. So,
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, we got a big trade over in New York. They got James Robinson coming from them Jags, man. He's kind of been not doing so good. ETN's getting hot. They traded him over to the Jets, Robert Saleh. I think that's a good little spot for him, man, because he's a good running back, but it's just too many mouths to feed over in Jacksonville. So Brees Hall went down, so we got a fill-in spot over there. What else you got, man?
Shoot. That's a big trade. I feel like that's a big trade. James Robinson ain't no Brees Hall by no means.
Nope.
The explosiveness really ain't all there. But what do you think this does for fantasy? I mean, you can't really look at James Robinson even as just a slight downgrade for Brees, can you? I mean, is he startable the first week for you?
The first week I think not. I think Michael Carter is gonna get most of the work. Ty Johnson's still there. He's moved up the depth chart, but the signing of Robinson kind of messes that up. I really wouldn't put him on my radar too much. But right now, I would just wait and see. If you have him already on your team, I probably wouldn't start him this week unless you have a bunch of people on bye. Then he might get you 4 or 5 points. But I don't know. I mean, we can kind of gauge it off of what McCaffrey did last week. When he went to San Fran, he really didn't do too much. But running back position is the easiest position to transition from to another team. Just hand him the ball and watch him do his thing. So I think, in dire circumstances, start him. If you can wait.
Yeah, I agree on that. I mean, McCaffrey did get traded later in the week. James Robinson got traded. He had a whole full week of practice trying to learn the playbook. But I would start Michael Carter if I could. And but with James Robinson getting traded, that's probably the best thing for him. He was getting taken over in Jacksonville by ETN. I think ETN is a top 10, top 5, in between top 5 and top 10 RB for the rest of the year with this trade.
Yeah, man, I agree, dude. He's he looked good the first few weeks, man. And I feel like that's what James Robinson does all the time. He comes out balling and then kind of I don't know if it's the team or what, but it's a good spot for him. I think he's still pretty young. How old is he, man?
I had to look it up. I think J-Rob is about 24. I'll get on my sleeper app and we'll look at it in a minute. But we'll hit some other news right quick while we got that going. So we talked about Brees Hall. That sucks. He was looking so good. Tore his ACL.
Yeah.
So he's going to be out. And the Saints are saying they're going to start Andy Dalton this week. Do you think Andy Dalton is better than Winston? Do you look at any of their weapons any different with whichever quarterback is starting?
Um, of course, man. You can't, no two quarterbacks are the same. I definitely think Jameis Winston is better than Andy Dalton, or Andy Dalton would have the starting job. But I think Andy Dalton does bring. He's one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league, and when it comes to production from like Chris Olave, is Michael Thomas playing this week? I haven't looked.
It said to me that he was not practicing this week, and it's not looking good again. So
Yeah, so I mean, I think you're still safe to play Olave for sure. And Jawan Johnson, what do you have? 2 touchdowns last week and
yeah,
over 100 yards, but that's kind of a spike week. Don't I always tell people, man, don't play the spikes. A spike is a spike, but he definitely should be on your radar. If you're in a dynasty league, pick him up, put him on the bench, especially if you're tied in premium. Um, but yeah, I think Andy Dalton will do fine, but Jameis Winston is definitely the better quarterback.
yeah. I I think I agree. As far as fantasy goes, I think Jameis is better. He makes a lot of mistakes, but speaking of Juwan Johnson, the last 2 weeks, PPR leagues, 12 points, 25 points. I know you said 2 touchdowns that'll do it for you, but
Yeah,
outside of the touchdowns, it was still 5 targets for 32 yards. 5 receptions for 32 yards. So 74% of snaps. That's pretty solid. There's a lot worse you could do right there, but get into that a little bit later. I see that Zeke. You said he was expected to be out.
yeah, man. I just read that a little while ago. It said Zeke's not looking like he's going to go this week, man. That could be big. That could be big for Dallas, or it could just be that what's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Because if you're fantasy football like we all are, we know who the best running back on that team is.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, and the Chicago Bears defense, it's pretty stout. But I think Dallas will be playing with a lead. So whoever's running the ball is probably going to get a little bit of garbage time. I don't know, man. Chicago looked pretty good, or what was that, Monday night?
Yeah, I mean, Ramondre had a pretty decent game, but he had 8 receptions. They were in garbage time, so you know, uh, Chicago's halfway decent against the run. But let me see. Let me see what they're ranked right quick. I got it pulled up. Chicago. They're 29th against the run, so you can run all over them. Tony
Can
Pollard is a killer play this week. I feel like if Zeke is out.
Yeah, I agree. It says, should Elliott be inactive for Sunday's game, which will be the first game missed since week 15 of 2020, Tony Pollard should see increased touches. I can't believe it, dude. He hadn't missed a game since week 15, 2020. I guess it's not that long, but he seems to be one of the more stable players. He doesn't really get hurt too much, but I just see him trending down a lot.
Yeah, dude. I wish I was that reporter, man. Zeke's out. Pollard should see more touches. No shit.
No shit.
Pollard's about to go ham, man. He's about to
Yeah,
go ham.
dude. Awaken the beast.
Uh huh.
What
I'm
we
with you.
talking about today, cousin?
Shoot, I'm gonna hit these two more news things, and we ain't even got to talk about them. But DeAndre Swift practiced in full today, Wednesday.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. That's a good start for the week. I think Swift is trending on playing finally. And Russell Wilson's gonna play. Take that how you will. I mean, if that's an upgrade for his receivers or whatever. I mean, you can. Just give me a quick opinion on that. Does that do anything for Judy or Sutton?
Man, I don't think it's hard to say, man, because it hadn't looked like the regular Russ, dude. I honestly think it might be a downgrade. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell right now, and we're almost halfway into the season, and that team still looks like they have no idea how to play professional football. And I know it's not Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's been in the league forever. It's not his athleticism or his talent. I mean, he was doing. The guy's a performer. The guy's a good athlete. He was doing workouts on the jet, on the way to the game, and which I probably wouldn't have been excited about if I was another player sleeping. But I think it comes higher up in the head coach or the GM or something like that, man. But I think you'd be all right playing Jerry Jeudy this week and Cortland Sutton. I mean, they did pretty good last week with was he a rookie, Ripien?
Yeah, Judy had a decent game, but Sutton, he's had a couple games, a couple bad ones. He had three points and then 5. He had 9 targets last week and caught 3 of them. That's some DJ Moore type shit right there.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's bad quarterback play when you see like a 33% catch rate. That's not a good recipe for success if you're starting a Sutton that week. But they got Jacksonville this week. They're not too bad against Jacksonville's not too great against pass. I would look at. I think Sutton gets a lot more work with Russ. I mean, the first 3 weeks, 7 targets, 11 targets, 10 targets. And, he likes Sutton.
Yeah.
He does like Sutton. So I would probably have a little more confidence in Sutton this week, and probably in Judy a little bit too. If Judy stays, Judy's coming to the pack, baby.
Ooh, hot take on the mic. What makes you say that, buddy?
Hey man, he's on the trade block right now. The Packers are in. There's been news that they have been searching for a receiver, and the only ones that I know of that they could trade for is Claypool and Judy and OBJ, and I think Judy would fit the Packers the most, but they're going to have to give up probably a second and a third rounder or so to get him. I don't know if they're willing to do that.
They're going to pick defensive players with them anyways. Might as well get a receiver, right?
Yeah, the Packers picked defensive lineman and a linebacker in the first round of this draft, and they still have one of the worst rushing defenses in the whole entire league. So see how that worked out for you.
Pretty incredible, man.
It is great.
I don't understand what they're doing down there. I mean, they've had a winning season. They've had a winning record for a long time, and who am I to say what they should do with their draft picks and this, that, and the other? But it's not looking good right now. So if Jerry Jeudy does come over to Wisconsin and starts packing some cheese, dude, I'll be all for it.
Hey man, the last episode we did, it's been I think we recorded sometime last week. Took a little break. Matt he's had his little baby ain't feeling too good. She's sick, but I think she'll be all right, and Matt will get back in here soon. But last time we recorded, I said the night of we were watching I think we were watching the Cardinals game Thursday night. And I said, McCaffrey's probably going to go to the 49ers. And then not 2 hours later, where'd he go?
That's right. You called it on the mic, like during the game. That was pretty wild, man. It was literally, a couple hours maybe. And that was a good call, dude. So I'm hoping, you could go 2 for 2 and we can get some Judy up in our lives over at Green Bay, dude. I think that would be so awesome for Aaron Rodgers and for him. But it is hard to transition as a receiver, and they have receivers there that they're trying to work. You got to think it might just be another person there that's you got to teach everything again. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But
there is something, and I was talking to my uncle on the phone today about the Packers, and there's something happening this year that hasn't really happened since Matt LaFleur's been there that I've really noticed, and that's Aaron Rodgers taking it upon himself to really kind of go out in a couple different media outlets and, talk about the team and the players and stuff like that. And that hasn't been something that's been done very often. And I think that goes to say something about what's going on. You know what I mean? And him and Matt LaFleur's relationship might not be as hunky dory as it has been.
Yeah, I mean, I could go about the Packers and Rodgers all day. I think he's, there's a lot of good things about him, and there's a lot of things I can say bad about him. I think he's real egomaniacal. He's kind of a narcissist a little bit, but like, I listen to Pat McAfee show. That's what you're talking about. He gets on there and says, this guy needs to get more playing time, or this guy is not making too many mistakes. But, like I said, we can talk about the Packers all day. There's a lot of teams, and we'll save it for a whole nother episode, because there's
we'll do a whole snippet on the Packers getting beat. So let's go.
Not just the Packers, but we'll do a whole episode on just the NFL. Like, we'll break it down, like, maybe not the fantasy aspect, but it ties into fantasy, but like the Bucks, the Packers, the Giants are winning. Like the NFL's in, would you say, I don't even want to say disarray, but it's just crazy.
It is crazy, man. And I think it's just the winds of change are blowing, dude. And I think, these new up and coming quarterbacks are coming in and all these, and that's one thing I love about the NFL and the NFL draft and how they put teams in a position to get good players. And then it just falls on the coaching staff to develop those players into a great team. It turns them from individuals into a team, and just like the Dolphins, dude. I mean, since me and you have been kids, the Dolphins haven't done anything in our lifetime. You know what I mean? God forbid have a winning record. And it's all turning around, dude, and it's all looking good. And I like to see that. I like to see that in the NFL. I don't want to see the same teams going and doing everything the same way. You got to have a little bit of couple monkey wrenches thrown in there.
Yeah, and the only thing I got to tell folks, and I might be totally wrong, but the Bills, the Eagles, and the Chiefs look better than anybody in the league right now. They look great, but I promise you, do not think that there are no other teams that can beat them jokers, because we're third of the way through the season. By the time playoffs come around, somebody's going to be coming in hot. And they're going to beat one of these. They're going to beat one of these teams. I mean, the Bills look great. I still got them as my Super Bowl favorites, but it looks like they're top of the league right now, but football, you've seen it. Carolina beat the shit out of the Buccaneers.
What was that, dude? Christian McCaffrey is turning over in his bed that day, dude. Like, he's like, what the fuck is going on, man? I fucking leave the team. And then, yeah, dude, it's any given Sunday, man. Any given Sunday, when your number's called, you go out there and perform. You could beat anybody. Anybody can beat anybody. Just like at the end of the year last year when Jacksonville put the Colts out of the out of the playoffs. I mean, one game. That's all it takes.
Yep, one game is all it takes. But shoot, we done talking about this. Well, like I said, we hit a whole nother episode on just the state of the NFL as a whole. But today, I had a little bit planned for the running back whisperer. We're going to talk about running backs today. We love running backs. We love running backs. We're going to break down you got your rankings pulled up, full PPR rankings, just weeks 1 through 7, running backs. I'm going to hit you with this list. And I want you to give some information for the people, because you are the running back whisperer. I have argued with you before the season, pre-draft, about some players, and like Josh Jacobs, for instance, I was like, he ain't going to be good. You said, what did you say about Josh Jacobs before the season started?
I said about Josh Jacobs, because you had a valid point, man. He's on his 4th year here, and they didn't sign his 5th year option. And time and time again, I've seen when players are put in that position where You got a young stud and Zamir White coming out of Georgia, go Dogs, playing behind you, and they didn't sign your option. You got to perform. That's an interview that year, man. And Josh Jacobs is a strong runner, dude. And I called. I said, I think he's gonna do great this year. He's hungry. He's got a good team. They gotta. It's. I think he's gonna be solid. And I took the chance on him, and he showed out, man. And there's no real rhyme or reason or any type of thing I got to it, man. It's just I go and I watch these players and I look at them in interviews and this, that, and the other, and you can tell the ones that are going to be hungry and the ones that are just there to play football and catch a check. You know what I mean? And I'm excited for what Josh Jacobs has to come. And he hasn't been a great running back in his career, but he's been good,
Oh yeah, he's
and
been extremely solid at year in and year out. He's never been this good. I mean, it's a small sample size. Really, 3 straight games of just absolutely just winning it for your team if you
terror,
have them.
just absolute terror. I mean, good night. And how do they not win these games? I don't get it. Anyways,
Well, they did win that last one.
yeah.
I mean, they held their own against the Chiefs, 30-29. I mean, you've seen what the Chiefs did to the San Fran last.
That's true. That's true.
But,
That's true. And I think that team is just, maybe a year or two away from really doing something. And I hope they hold on to Josh Jacobs. If not, he's going to go somewhere and really be a stud, or maybe he won't. But that's football.
Yeah, I don't want to predict where he's going to go or if he's going to stay. But for this year, let's just break it down. That's why that's why I wanted you to be on tonight, because you are you're running back, so you were also high on Saquon. But let's just talk on these rankings right now. Top five running backs as of right now, and what I want you to do is tell me if they belong there, if they're going to stay there, or if there's anybody you think is going to drop off or take off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, all right, we're doing full PPR. That's what we always talk about on the show. So you got Eckler at RB1.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? All right, you got Eckler at RB1, Saquon 2, Nick Chubb 3.
Yeah, dude. I think that's right where it needs to be, man. Those 3 guys have been killing it, dude. Yeah, Eckler, he can't stop scoring touchdowns. He's such a strong runner. He's such a strong runner, dude. And gets the ball in his hands. It's hard to take him down. Saquon Barkley, I'm so proud of him, dude. Like everybody was counting him out, and I saw the greatness in him, dude. I saw it, before the season began, and he's such a great athlete, and he's got a good, persona and a good mentality on the game. And he just one of those players that loves the game. And I think he's right where I thought he was going to be. And Nick Chubb, I mean, he's a damn good dog coming out of Georgia, Sco Dogs, and he can't be stopped, and he's getting the carries and he's getting the play time, and he's making every bit. He hasn't been under 4 yards per carry anytime this year. Every carry, every game has been over 4 yards per carry. And in his career, he's averaged 5.5 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns per year, on average. And the guy's just a monster, and he's the quiet storm that's just going to come through and wreck your fucking team.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Them top 3 spots, they probably will stay the same. I'm just gonna give you a couple more who you think there's a couple people that I think Mike can jump up and take one of these guys out, but in full PPR, I just want to hit on Eckler right quick because this is ridiculous. When you think of Eckler and Saquon, who do you think's caught more passes this year?
Probably Eckler.
By how many?
I'd say probably a lot.
Yeah, he's doubled him. Eckler's
Has he?
caught 53 receptions already through 7 weeks. So he's going to catch over 100 balls this year. And
Wow.
Saquon's caught 25. So, I mean, Eckler's just
Wow.
he's got 357 reception yards and 380 rushing yards. He's almost you don't see that out of running backs.
You don't see that. No, you
No.
don't, man. And dude, it's crazy because Eckler, me and you and your brother, we've been doing this thing and we've been talking about it. And Eckler has been working his ass off for years over there. How many years has he been in the league? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a 6 year, and he's been running behind everybody. Running behind this guy, running behind that guy, and he gets his little. He shows, and I'm glad he finally got his chance to be the man, and he's showing out year after year.
Yes, I'm glad to see him do good. I like old Eckler, and he's just a stud. I think he will carry that number one spot all the way through the year, especially in PPR. Most of my leagues I do half PPR, but at full PPR, Eckler with the receptions he's getting, I think he remains at number one, and I do think Saquon stays at number two. Do you think the only question I have with Nick Chubb at number 3 right now, who can jump him? From what I'm looking at, from what I see, the only people that got a chance is maybe McCaffrey, Jacobs, and maybe Derrick Henry. Do you think any one of them jump Josh Jacobs?
Are you talking about this week or in the season long?
Year, or just I would say for the year. Like if you had to do end of the year rankings, because we're talking about from here on, really.
Yeah. Okay. I definitely think Derrick Henry. If we're talking full PPR, I don't think he can finish the number one. I think that's way out of the way.
Yeah.
But he's such a solid runner, week in and week out, and he's starting to catch more passes. And I think Derrick Henry he'll probably move on up. I mean, the next few weeks, I mean, he's got Houston, Kansas City, who's given up a lot. Denver might be a little difficult, but they're playing them at home. He's got Green Bay, which they haven't been great. So I think he's got a few games coming up where he can really do some stuff. And when it comes to McCaffrey, I think he's the X factor at this point, and we all know he's got the talent. And now he's finally at a team where he doesn't have to do everything. And if I were to call it, and what was the third player you said?
Well, we're talking about Nick Chubb. Do you think McCaffrey can? You think he can get up and pass Nick Chubb?
I think he can. With that San Francisco team, because every year when I go into my fantasy football drafts, I want the San Francisco running back and I want the Seattle Seahawks running back because they always get to eat, and for some reason they do good. But both of those teams have been in committees a lot, especially San Francisco, and now both teams have bell cow backs, and it's just the sky's the limit. I think Kenneth Walker might end up here in the top 10, 15 by the end of the year. I mean, we're not really talking about him right now, but that could be something at the end of the year. We're like, man, that kid's good.
Oh, for sure. We'll hit on that later. We're going to try to give we'll do about 3 apiece or so and do like our biggest risers and biggest fallers in the running back position and see if we agree on, because we ain't talked about this at all beforehand. So we have no idea. And, we might have some differences, but, maybe we'd be thinking the same way too. So,
we definitely don't.
Definitely don't. I mean, Kenneth Walker's obviously a riser.
Yeah.
He is blown up the last couple of weeks. He looks like he looks like a stud. Why didn't you trade me for one thing? Najee for Kenneth Walker, man. Come on.
Dude, send it through, man. I got you, bro.
Well, you just gonna laugh at it? Reject it? Send me some shit counteroffer?
Yeah, I will. I'll send you Michael Thomas and Treylon Burks for Najee. I'll send that counter back. How about that?
Man, Najee ain't worth a penny right now, but I still wouldn't. I still couldn't do that.
And I hate that for Najee Harris, man. Because I think he's a great running back, and I think he's got talent, and I think he just came into that Steelers offense team at the wrong time, man. And if he would have, been a couple years later, I think he really could have been big, or a little earlier. I mean, look what they did with Lev Bell and even Williams.
Yeah.
But
Lev Bell, the Steelers used to have an incredible offensive line. That's kind of changed a little bit. The Steelers used to always be the team I targeted for their running back.
yeah,
And I think Najee is a buy low. I second Matt on that. I think he's a buy low for Dynasty for next year. I think they'll figure some things out and he'll be solid. But just to give you
right.
a couple names, this is how bad Najee's been. So I wanna put this out there because I have Najee in Dynasty. And you, even though you draft this man in the first round, you can bench him. It's okay.
It
It's
is
okay.
okay.
It's okay.
I've benched Russell Wilson.
Yeah. So Najee is RB22 right now. He's behind Khalil Herbert. He's behind Zeke, who's been awful. He's behind Kenneth
Jamal
Walker.
Williams.
He's behind Kenneth Walker, who's only had 2.5 full games. Damian Pierce, Clyde. You can
Williams
bench.
from Detroit. That kid's not even the starting running back, but I mean, he's been playing for Swift. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
He's averaging 3.3 yards per carry. He's only had 18 receptions this year. He was at the top of the league in receptions last year. And like I said, Eckler is at 53 receptions. This is about where I wouldn't say Najee had 53 at this point last year, but he was in the 40s or close to it. His floor was much higher. He's only averaging 10.8 fantasy points per game. This is full PPR.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of people that I would feel more comfortable starting over him on a weekly basis. But, in a regular redraft league, you're probably forced to. So,
Yeah. A lot of times you are.
Yeah. I mean, he's RB22, so he's still technically a RB2. He's just not even close to what you drafted. But, yeah, we'll move on. Let's go ahead and move on to like these next couple running backs. We did the top 3. Let's go ahead and hit 5 through 6 right quick. All right, 4 through. We'll just do 4 through 8. Let's do that. So you got Jacobs. He's sitting at number 4. Been a freaking beast. They've already had their bye week, so he's 1 game behind and still at RB4. He's only 7 points behind. Oh wait, I'm sorry, 4 points behind Nick Chubb, 1 game less, and only 8 points behind Saquon. So Jacobs could be the RB2 right now. And when I was looking at the rankings, I was like, I feel like Jacobs has done better than these guys. But and that's why. So are you putting Jacob? Are you gonna put Jacobs over any of them at the end of the year? Do you think he finishes higher than Saquon or Nick Chubb?
And I don't know. That'd be a hot take, but yeah, dude. I mean, how can I say no right now? I mean, I think he will. I think he'll finish higher. Oof. I think he'll finish higher than Chubb, but not Saquon.
Do you have the balls to trade Chubb for Jacobs?
Ooh.
If you had Chubb.
If I had Chubb,
just hold on.
I would probably. If I had Chubb, I would probably trade for Jacobs. But if I had Jacobs, I might not trade for Chubb. If I had either one, I wouldn't trade him.
You just stay put. Just stay put.
Yeah, but if it came down to it, if I had a gun to my head, I had Nick Chubb on my team, and I had to trade him, I'd trade him for Jacobs.
Yeah. I want to put this into everybody's just perspective on Jacobs right now. I'm going to go through his game logs from week 1 all the way to week 7. So, and it's just going to be attempts. First week, 11 attempts. Second week, 20. Third week, 18. And then it gets nice. This is when Jacobs, they decided, hey, we need to get this man the ball. He's a beast.
And you're doing – sorry to interrupt. You're doing rushing and receiving together, right?
Rushing and receiving. Total opportunities, yeah.
Target set attempt.
Yeah.
Okay.
So starting week 4 against Denver, he got 34 opportunities in total. And he had the next game against Kansas City, 26. And the next game after that against Houston last week, he got 24 opportunities. That's elite. He's getting over 80% snap percentage. You don't really see that. You don't really see that in even some of the top players in the NFL.
No, you really don't, man. I mean, even Austin, yeah. He hasn't eclipsed 80%.
No, not all year. Eckler's not been over. The highest he's been was 77%, and that was last week. So if you want a player that's been on the field or is going to be on the field 24/7, and I feel like this is their recipe for winning. He's averaging 5.7 yards a carry.
Yeah, that's huge, and that's what you got to look at, and so the reason I am so high on running backs, the reason I like running backs so much is because when it comes to fantasy football, it's all about how many touches they get and what you do with those touches. And the reason running backs are so good is because if you get the one, they usually get about 20 carries. 20 is high, you know what I mean? That's what you want from a running back, and then in the receiving, I'll say about 5 to 10, on your running backs. And your best receivers, I mean, Cooper Kupp, he's probably catching, he's getting like
10,
15,
11.
19, and it just comes down to the amount of touches that you get, the amount of times you get to touch the ball. And so that's why the yards per carry is so big in fantasy, because you get limited touches. It's all about what you can do with those.
Yeah, and if you're like these top guys,
and going over 4, going over 4 yards a carry is big for anybody.
Yeah, I feel like anything over 4 is like around 4.2 is probably average. If you're in the 5s and 6s or 5s or higher, you're elite. Especially when you've been getting as many carries. I mean, one guy can rip off a 40-yard run and it changes his yards per carry, but on 111 attempts, that's plenty good sample size for me to think that this man's just going to keep rolling. And, I heard before the season the Raiders' offensive line was no good. That was one of the reasons I stayed away from Jacobs, but it's kind of looking like they are pretty stout, at least run blocking anyway. It's kind of like the Bears a little bit.
Right.
With their run blocking, but the pass blocking might not be so hot and heavy. But moving on from Jacobs, I'm super high on him. I mean, if you got him on your team, just hold him. Like we said, you really don't want to trade him for. I think he's where he's finished so far this year. I would say that's probably exactly where he's gonna finish, or very close.
Very close, yeah.
And so I just hold him. Don't try to trade him unless you can get something big. Coming in at number 5, this is your boy Christian McCaffrey, reception god. He is
reception god.
I still think, I think he's gone with the same. We hadn't talked about San Francisco trade yet. I think that it's going to be more of the same. I think it's going to cancel it out a little bit because he's not the main focus of the offense, but the offense is better. So I think he's going to still stay around. He's going to be steady as hell. But
yeah, I mean, look at. Sorry to interrupt. Look at what Jeff Wilson was able to do. I mean, he's nowhere near the talent that McCaffrey was. I mean, and he was putting up big numbers. I mean, over 10 points a game at least, while he was the main guy there.
Yeah. I mean, so what do you think about the McCaffrey trade? I like it better. I like it. I think he's gonna do better than what he was with the Panthers, but I think that it's not gonna be incredibly better. It's not gonna be crazy. It's just gonna be more scoring opportunity, obviously, better
That
offense.
exactly. And yeah, and that's what I was about to say. It comes down to his
Touchdowns.
his touches. Yeah, it comes down to him scoring. He's going to score more, I believe, in San Fran, but I don't think he's going to have as many touches. But I think he'll be able to do more with the touches because they won't be stacking the box and they won't be all focused on him. You know, they got Debo there and Ayuk and Kittle. So I think he's going to have more opportunities to get touchdowns and score more points that way.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I think he's got 2 TDs on the year. If he played with San Fran all year, he would have probably at least 5. But
Yeah, I mean everybody else. I mean Jacobs has 6. You know, Saquon has 4. Chubb has
8.
uh he's got 8 touchdowns, and then your boy has 8.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
Eckler.
Yeah, Eckler. Yeah, he put
So
in work. But with McCaffrey, we like I said, we hadn't had a whole episode to talk about McCaffrey, and Matt's gonna be pissed because he's probably gonna be wanting to talk about this shit. But who does McCaffrey? There, I feel like there's going to be an odd man out in this offense now that McCaffrey is here. Who do you have the least confidence in, as far as like just say draft capital that you drafted, and what their output's going to be? So you got Debo, Ayuk, or Kittle. Who takes the biggest hit?
who takes the biggest hit? Uh that's hard to say, man. That's really hard to say. I would, if I had to call it, I'd probably say Debo
Yeah,
because I don't think he's gonna have to take as many rushing opportunities. You know, I don't think they're gonna need to use him so much in the rushing aspect of the game. But it's really hard to call. But I think if I had to call anybody, I'd say Debo.
so saying that, you think it does it definitely hurts him. You don't think it helps him at all.
Yeah, I think it hurts Debo a little bit. Um, yeah, I think it'll hurt him a little bit, but I think Debo will still be fine. You know, they'll find ways to get him going and get him going good, man. I think, dude, San Francisco, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah. And I think I'll say it for you. San Francisco's going to be fine. They're going to get in the wild card spot. They'll probably win the division. I think they will win the division. I don't want them to. I hate them because they always beat the
Yeah.
Packers. But
Yep.
I will tell you a sleeper player for this team. If you hadn't realized, we're kind of going off on a tangent right here about San Fran, but Ayuk has had 11 targets in the last 2 weeks, 83 yards, 82 yards. Don't sleep on Ayuk right now.
Mm-mm.
He's
Do
actually
not.
outperforming
Do
Debo.
not.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah, man, because I don't know, dude. And when Debo and Ayuk are on the field together, they're such a dynamic duo, you know. And when it comes to fantasy, it's hard to say which one is really better. And I think they just perform so well together as a team. But yeah, Brandon, his uptick started when poor Trey Lance. You know, I hate it for him, but you know, I just really think Ayuk and Garoppolo have that rapport. You know, and it's he's Ayuk is starting to show it, man. He's starting to show why everybody drafted him, not necessarily this year, but last year. You know, everybody was drafting him over Debo. You know,
Yeah, I do remember
last
that.
year, and then
Crazy
and
times.
then yeah, yeah,
You
dude,
drafted
it's
Debo
it's
last
so
year,
it's so
though, didn't
crazy
you?
how I did. Then I drafted him after Ayuk. Ayuk went in the third round, I think, and I got Debo like third or fourth round,
Shit, I
I
think you
think.
got Debo last year in like the ninth or something.
It was
It was late.
it
He wasn't
was
high last year.
no, it wasn't. He wasn't. I got a steal on Debo last year for sure.
Yeah.
And I really wanted him this year. He's definitely not putting up the numbers, but he's such a good player, and that team is good. And being from Atlanta, being from Georgia, I still got a feeling for the Falcons, and I still think Kyle Shanahan is a shit stick for what he did in the Super Bowl. But you can't sit here and deny that man's a good head coach, and he doesn't take no shit from nobody. He's going to play his best players, and that's just how he is. He's here to win, and he doesn't care who you are or where you came from. If you're not putting in the production on the field, he's not going to play you. So I
Yeah.
think McCaffrey ended up with the best. I mean, I'm so happy for McCaffrey. Like, this is going to be this. It's
Nah,
just wait and
screw
see.
McCaffrey. He went to the 49ers.
Fuck him.
We don't need him. Packers don't need him, but still, he could have gone to some other team in the AFC that doesn't affect the Packers at all. But
Yeah.
we'll move on from McCaffrey. I think we both said we think he's going to get a little better, but not much more different than he's done as far as scoring goes. But more scoring opportunities, and probably a little bit better fantasy output, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
That the conclusion on McCaffrey.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, this son of a bitch that I'm about to talk about next, I said is bust proof, is Leonard Fournette. And last week, what did he do?
Well,
He
he
shattered like
busted.
glass. He shattered like glass.
Yep. He
Leonard
did,
Fournette
man.
is ugly. Now, I'm not talking about his physical appearance, but having him on your team, you have him in a lot of leagues. When you look at Fournette on your roster, every time you look at it, do you think, man, this dude's going to be solid as hell, but I am not excited at all about this dude.
No, I don't think that at all. I mean, I think that I am super fortunate to have him as my RB2, because he's my RB2 in two different leagues. And as an RB1, if you drafted him in first, second round, maybe you thinking, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But as no, I think he's super solid, and I think if anybody's upset about his production last week, I mean, they need to go watch the game. It wasn't nothing that he did. I mean, I can't believe he didn't get they did a 4th and 1, gave him the ball, but I think they gave it to him on the outside. I don't think they ran up the middle with it, and they should be able to get 1 yard with Leonard Fournette, and I think it just comes down more to that team and everything going on there. But I think he's a solid player, dude. And I think he is bust proof. Any given Sunday, somebody can, have a bad day. But I think it was just Carolina's. It was just their time to fucking the ball out, and they did it. But I
Yeah.
think Fournette will be okay.
Does it concern you at all that last week they were in a negative game script? He got 60% snap percentage, and Rashad White got in for 43%. Is that what is that? Does that scare you at all? You fine? You're just good with Fournette.
It doesn't really scare me this year. As long as Fournette's healthy, he's going to be the man. I think Rashad White's a great running back, and running back is definitely a young man's position. This is a young man's game. That's ever present and obvious. The more and more you watch, man, it's these young guys are doing the damn thing, and especially in the running back position, dude. It's a young man's spot, but old Lombardi Lenny, man, Fat Lenny, Lombardi Lenny, whatever you want to call him, dude. He's been positive. He's been good, dude. There's only been two. Let me tell you this: only 2 years, one time in Tampa and one time in Jacksonville, that he was outside of the top 10. His first year, he finished PPR number 9. In 2018, he finished number 40. In 19, he finished 7. 35 his first year in Tampa, and then last year he finished as a 6, and right now he's ranked number 6, man. And I think he's fine until further notice, man. I mean, he's a good, solid player, dude.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he's third in the league in targets at running back right now. I'm scrolling down all the way to RB50, which is Tyler Algier at RB50. And as far as I see, he like I said, he's third in the league in targets with 39 targets, 34 receptions. That's a damn good catch percentage, by the way.
Yeah.
He's badass. I do think that he's game script proof, and like even though I said he was bust proof last week, I don't know what happened. Nobody knows what happened with the Buccaneers last week. But if you were to ask me, you're talking about the Packers Buccaneers debate where you're talking about these older quarterbacks. I feel like the Buccaneers are going to get it together. I don't have much belief in the Packers, but I think the Bucs are still going to get it together. I don't know why. I just do.
And I feel like they will too, man. I feel like they will too. And I think the only thing that, if anything, holds them back is Todd Bowles, man. And I want so bad for Todd Bowles to be a good quarterback and to lead that team, to another conference championship or whatever. And but I honestly think that's the biggest difference in this year and last year, is because when you have a good head coach, I mean, look at Brian Daboll over in New York, man. He's his first year there. But when you see Daboll talking to his players, when you see him on the field, he's full of passion, and he's talking to these guys like they're they're his buddies, and they all want the same thing, and I just never see Todd Bowles doing any of that. He just, I don't know. And he's obviously a great, football mind, or he wouldn't be a head coach in the NFL. But he's had a few chances, and I think this is his last chance to really prove that he can do it, because you got a team that's the greatest player ever to play football, and they won a Super Bowl, and you're the biggest difference. So
yeah, the offensive line's a little whack right now. It ain't what it started off to be with the injuries they had, but they got probably more continuity than any other team in the NFL, defensively and offensively. So they have no excuses. The offensive line thing is what it is, but there's no excuses. They're just not playing good, but I do think they'll play better. So
yeah,
moving on.
I think they went into Carolina. I'm sorry. One last thing. I think they went into Carolina just thinking that, this was the pushover game. This was the bounce back game, and they just underestimated them.
They're entitled, just like the Packers. They're a little entitled, I feel like.
Yeah. Anyway, on to the next one.
Well, number 7, we got Breece Hall. We can cancel him out for the rest of the year. Unfortunately, I love the way he was playing. Yeah. He looked super explosive. I hate it. But so number 8 right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you he's not going to be number 8 at the end of the year. It's Ramondre.
No.
Ramondre Stevenson.
What happened to Derrick Henry? Where's Derrick Henry in your rankings?
He's number 9. He's right behind Ramondre. He's played one less game.
Really?
Yeah. He's played one less game, so he scored 3 less points. But I mean, if you add in the extra game, you can might as well. Henry's going to score 3 points next week. Yeah, we'll talk about Ramondre right quick. What do you think?
No, I was saying as we should. Go ahead.
Yeah, about Ramondre, I mean, I don't think he's going to finish right here. He's at, like we said, he's at number 8 above Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon. I think he will finish above Clyde, but I would probably have him in like the top 15 range, around probably RB 12, 13. But do you think that Damian Harris is what do you think the split's going to look like? 60-40 Ramondre, 50-50?
Dude, if it was any other team, I would try to call it. But with Bill Belichick, I mean, this Patriots team is a run-first team. They're a defensive-minded team. They do short passes. and they like to run the ball. So it's really hard to say, man. Damian Harris is a great runner. I watch a lot of football, and a lot of defensive players talk about they don't like seeing Damian Harris come through the line. But like I said, I mean, it's a young man's position. It's a young man's sport. And I think, when you got somebody like Ramondre Stevenson breathing down your neck, dude, it's only a matter of time until he just takes over the spot. And I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think he might move up a little bit, but the guys ahead of him, man, they're a bunch of badasses. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I don't think he's passing any of them jokers unless injury occurs. But I just feel like he's a good name to talk about for a minute still. Last week, this is what Harris back. He had 77% of snaps. This could be because Harris is just coming off an injury. But from what I've seen, 8 receptions last week. I think Ramondre is going to be the third down back. And he's still going to get a lot of first and second down work too. But I think it looks like he's the third down back, and if it's a negative game script, that he is going to be the one in the game. Because he got a lot of garbage time. I fell asleep during that game in the third quarter, and I had a prize picks that he would get 2 receptions. And he was at 2 receptions at halftime and ended up with 8 receptions at the end of the game. So
yeah,
and they were losing pretty handedly. So Ramondre would you try to go after Ramondre in a redraft league right now? Would you trade Dalvin Cook for Ramondre Stevenson?
Probably. Yeah, I think I would if I had Dalvin Cook, and if somebody would take that trade. I think I think I would.
You could get that
I think
done.
I would do it, man. Yeah, man. I think. But it's hard to say. I guess it all depends on what happens with Damian Harris, man. If Damian isn't a thing, if he's not a thing anymore, then yeah, all day I would rather have him. I mean, dude, I'm trying to find Damian. He was down here at number 35, and I mean his snap percentage since the beginning of the year, he's only eclipsed 40% twice, but he's put up good numbers on those percentages. But yeah, man, I really like Ramondre Stevenson, especially in Dynasty, man. If you got him in Dynasty, hold on to him. Try to trade for him, which actually I might go do while I'm thinking about it. Get a little hold on Ramondre, man. And yeah, I think he's definitely one of the running backs that in next year's draft, depending on how everything goes, I'll be targeting him very high.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's going to be solid just because of the passing game work. And he's going to get a couple touchdowns vultured. I don't even know if I'd say vultured because I think Damian Harris is a steady player and he's just going to be steady. But nowadays, you just don't see running backs get 100% or 80% of snaps. So if you got to live with Ramondre getting 60 to 70% of snaps, that's just fine for me.
That's plenty. Yeah, that's plenty. He's getting. I mean, what's his yards per carry? He's
averaging.
I don't know that.
He's averaging 5 yards per carry, right on it.
That's elite.
Yep, that's elite. He's a good running back. He can catch the ball. He looks great. Yeah, the only thing that scares me is Bill Belichick. But
yeah.
Moving on from him, you got Derrick Henry. Me and you both think that Derrick Henry is going to finish higher than Ramondre. Probably.
Yeah.
I would say he'd finish higher than Fournette by the end of the year. Maybe.
Yeah.
PPR might be something different. I don't think I would go out and try to get Henry if you have Fournette, just because if it's a full PPR, but half PPR and standard, for sure. If it's a standard league, definitely trade Fournette for Derrick Henry.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Derrick Henry, I got him on one of my teams, and beginning of the year, he wasn't putting up Derrick Henry-esque numbers, and I say that, but he still got 8.5 points, week 1, week 2, and then he started becoming, himself. And he got 23, 22, 26. And then after the bye week, he came out with 15 against Indianapolis, who is actually, I think, a pretty good run defense. No, I think they.
Oh, they're good. They're a
their
good run
secondary.
defense.
Yeah,
Very good run defense.
yeah, and he's the king, man. He's Jonathan Taylor was the only player, that I thought might be better than Derrick Henry, and but at this point, I think Derrick Henry's still the king, man, and he might not finish number one in fantasy, but when it comes to the best running back in the league, I think it's Derrick Henry until somebody proves me otherwise, dude, because nobody gets more attention than Henry, and I just wish Tennessee had some, a receiver or two or even a tight end to take some attention away from him. But, even with them stacking the box and all this, that, and the other, like he still puts up his numbers, man. It's, he just beats on them like a hammer until the fourth quarter and they're all tired, and then he just does his thing.
Yeah, he's extremely solid, and it just by the fourth quarter, you might be on your fantasy team and looking at him, and he got like 5 points going into the fourth quarter. Just don't worry, don't worry about it, because that fourth quarter, he's gonna bust off a 60-yard run for a touchdown, and you're fine. So don't worry.
Dude, with his one dread hanging out the back, just
just slapping people in the face as he goes down the field.
Grown men too, with like families and like kids, and they like he's just pushing them into the ground. It's wild. I love watching that guy run.
Oh, he's one of my favorite. I would say him and Chubb are the best in between the tackles, running backs in the league. But
yeah, dude, the funnest to watch for sure.
Yeah. Well, moving on. All right, we done hit. That's about the top 10. You got Aaron Jones at number 10, Mixon at number 11. But there's a couple guys down here at the lower end that I want to hit. And we just talked about the top 10. Aaron Jones is number 10, so just keep him there in Mixon too. Which one of these players would you put ahead of this pack right here that could finish ahead of the running backs we already talked about? All right. You ready? Season, as the season goes on from week 8 to when the playoffs start, week 15. Travis Etienne.
What you asking if I think he'll be in the eclipse of top 10 or 15?
We'll make it easy. Would you trade out of all the running backs we talked about in the top 10? Would you try to go trade any of them guys for Etienne?
No, not right now.
Aaron Jones,
but I do. Aaron Jones, probably. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, I think at this point I would. I would trade Aaron Jones for Travis Etienne. Just because he's the bell cow there now, and I think he's gonna eat.
Well, you got to watch what you say, man. You're the RB whisperer. If somebody hears this and they hear you say that, hopefully they go and do it. Your voice holds a lot of power.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I wasn't. Oh well, that with great power comes great responsibility, man. And on the off season, I was high on Etienne, and then I kind of dropped off on him like around the start of the season. But now that James Robinson's not there, they obviously see something, in him, and he's great. He's pretty big. He's not huge, but I think he'll be good. I think he'll be good. But if you don't mind me interjecting right here and talk about a running back that is outside of the top 10, inside the top 15, and it's a rookie.
It's Dameon Pierce.
Not sure where he played his college ball at.
You talking about Dameon Pierce?
Dameon Pierce. It's Dameon Pierce, man.
Played at Florida, the Gators.
Did he play for the Gators?
He played for the Gators.
I
And
think, man.
go ahead. I'll say mine right quick. Outside, he is outside of the top 10, and I think he'll stay about right where he's at. I don't think I'd trade any of these guys we talked about. Ramondre, maybe, but I'm not trading Aaron Jones for him. Not trading. Clyde is ahead of him right now. I would definitely trade Clyde for Dameon
Yeah,
Pierce in a heartbeat. You ain't got to ask
yeah,
me twice. But that's the only one ranked higher than him that I would trade for him, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't trade for him, but I think he's going to be uh, somebody who does kind of sneak maybe up into the top 10. Um, just depends on how Mixon does and Aaron Jones. I think Ramondre is going to be all right, but Brees Hall's dropping out of the top 10, so that's a spot open. And yeah, no, I think Dameon Pierce doesn't get the recognition he deserves. He's been a very solid running back. He's actually been the only piece of that offense. I don't know what Brandon Cooks has been doing. Actually, that's
Nothing.
something we should have talked about in the news. He's up for trade.
Ooh,
They're talking
Packers.
about trade talks.
Come
They're
on.
talking about trade talks for Cook, but yeah, he's the only person there that's actually doing anything. And they've lost every game, maybe.
They tied one. I think
Uh,
they did beat they beat somebody barely. It was like the Bears ended up beating them. I don't know what their record is, but it doesn't matter. They're probably still the worst
no,
team in the NFL.
yeah,
Well, let's move on. You got Damian Pierce right there, 13. There's another one right here, Kenneth Walker. You trading? Um, I would definitely trade Aaron Jones. I would love to have Kenneth Walker over Aaron Jones. Would you trade
dude.
Kenneth Walker if you had Joe Mixon? Would you trade him for Kenneth Walker?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, without hesitation, without hesitation. The
man.
the the only players I wouldn't trade are I might even go as much as say I'd trade Leonard Fournette for him. But you know Derrick Henry and up. Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry,
You
probably
trade
not.
Henry?
And
You
the
wouldn't
rest,
trade Henry for him?
I don't think I'd trade Henry for him. I might trade Fournette for him, but anybody else above them, I definitely wouldn't. But anyone below him, yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, he's the young stud on a run first offense, and yeah, dude, he's this is about to break out, dude. He's definitely going to be getting picked in the top in the first round next year, probably top.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't even
He's gonna
call
be
it.
in the first two rounds for sure. I would think he's gonna be
Yeah,
around that Najee, like probably pick like 8 next year or something. I would think.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker's a yeah. I tried to get him from Trey Wiggins so bad. Tried to trade him James Robinson and Jared Judy for him, and he wasn't falling for that shit. Which is props to him, man. And I've shouted out Trey on the show a good amount. He listens, so props to
Yep,
you, you little piece of
punk,
that's what you
little
are,
shit,
you little shit.
you little shit.
But all right, so those are the running backs right there outside of the top 15. We didn't hit it in the news. I seen his name and I got to think about it. Got to thinking about it. Jonathan Taylor, but Matt Ryan is benched for the rest of the year for Sam Ellinger. Take that as you will. But Jonathan Taylor right
Yeah.
here. Does Jonathan Taylor eclipse? Are you back on the Taylor train?
Wow, I didn't even realize he had dropped all the way down. I have him at 32.
Yeah, he's done missed like
Um,
3 or 4. He's missed 2 games, and he's only had one really good game on the year.
yeah, man. Yeah, I think he'll be all right. I mean, he's a great running back. It just comes down to everything else, man. If they can get first downs, you know what I mean? I mean, he can't. They got to move the ball down the field. They have a pretty good offensive line. I mean, I know it's not great. They got some injuries, but you know, he's a great runner, and I hope he hasn't already gotten to the point where he's starting to see decline. And I don't think he has, man. He's still young. I mean, he's
Say
only 23 years old.
23.
He's only 23. So I think he'll be fine this year. And especially if you have him in Dynasty, you don't want to get rid of him, but I think he'll definitely come back out of because, running back 32, that's last in the league, the starting, 32 teams, he's the last RB1. And I think he'll definitely move up a little bit above some of these guys. I mean,
I would trade. I would trade Ramondre to get Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
You might could do that right now too. I think you could do that, and I would do it.
That. Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you, cousin. So now, go ahead. So now that James Robinson is at New York, how do you feel about him?
About J. Rob, he's fine. He'll be all right, but I'm not really probably top 24. Maybe a low end RB2, high end RB3. I'm not looking at. I like Michael Carter better. I would rather have Michael Carter, and
okay,
that's the way I feel about that. But now, do you feel about the same? Is that good? That about where you at?
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's an upgrade. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell right now, but he was doing great at the beginning of the year, and I don't know why he's not anymore. I guess it's more ETN kind of taking over, but he's still been pretty good, and I think he'll do better there.
Yeah. Well, shoot, man. Let's talk about these RB sleepers for the rest of the year. We done talked about the big dogs that everybody has in their lineups. That we kind of talked about them more as like trade bait. Who would you trade for? We all know you're starting these guys.
Yeah,
these dudes are beasts. But I want to hit on some of these. Look at your list right quick off top of your head. Think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Give me as many running backs as you can, and just give me 3 running backs that you think are they should definitely finish higher than where they're at right now, and they're kind of getting slept on a little bit.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll give you an obvious one, kind of obvious. Maybe everybody's not up on it, but Kyren Williams, for Los Angeles, man, he's been on IR. He's a rookie. He's coming back off IR, and I think the sky's the limit with that guy. Just kind of a waiting around to see. My number 2 would probably be Isaiah Pacheco. I've been on him like all year, and I think it's just a matter of time until he establishes himself as an elite running back in this league, man, and he's the man and playing for a great offense. And then I guess a third one, which is kind of a sleeper, but kind of not at the beginning of the year, but due to extenuating circumstances, he couldn't play for a while. But Brian Robinson, I think he's going to end up being, much higher up than he is.
Damn, that was pretty good. When I said sleepers, I wouldn't think you were going to dig that deep, but that is some deep ass research. Kyren Williams, you said he's pretty obvious. I don't think anybody that listens to this show will know who Kyren Williams is.
Well,
I'm sure.
I guess that's why I'm the running back whisperer.
I ain't even gonna say that. There's probably a lot of folks out there that know just as much as we do. But shoot, that was you say Kyren Williams, and I was like, that was impressive as shit.
That's why I'm the running back whisperer.
What happens if the Rams end up signing a running back, which I think they're going to
do? What happens to Kyren?
Yeah, I mean, you got Darrell Henderson right there. I don't think he has a stranglehold on the number one RB duties, but I have a feeling they're going to bring in a veteran of some sort at the trade deadline or something.
They might, but I think if they were going to, they would have already. But yeah, I mean, we still got 5 days. So they could bring somebody in, and I think the only reason they would do that is if Kyron Williams really doesn't show that he can handle it.
Yeah, he when they first brought him out at the start of the year before he suffered his injury, and was on IR for until now. I think they were going to give him a lot of playing time. He was out there returning kicks already in the first game.
Yeah.
And he got hurt like the very first play of the year. But he's 5'9", 194 pounds. He's not really built to be an every down back, but he could
he's
be solid.
Little small.
Yeah, he could definitely be solid. Would you try to stash him? I would try to stash Pacheco above him.
Yeah.
Probably. And Rashad White, I would try to stash Rashad White probably.
Well, I mean, see, I picked him up in the league, and he could play as early as this week, man. And if he comes out this week and shares snaps with Darrell Henderson and does better next week, he might be the man in an offense that's kind of not doing great, but it's still a good team. And I don't know.
That's a good take, man. I hadn't even thought about Kyron Williams. I know who he is, but I'm about to have to go into Yahoo League and pick him up. Just throw him on the team.
It's too late because I already got him.
Oh, he's already gone? Who got him?
I got it. Me.
Oh, shit. The running back with would you rather? Okay. Okay. Yeah, he might get 50% of snaps this week. There's a very good chance of that.
Yeah.
There's a very, very good chance of that. That was
You're a little salty about that, aren't you? You kind of upset that I got him already in that league. I can tell.
Oh yeah, I mean, I play you this week, and you're going to be buying me a new jersey this week. So,
no, I think that Bakhtiari jersey's coming my way.
No, I think that Jordy. I hadn't decided if I was going to do Jordy Nelson or George Pickens. I kind of like that Georgia boy. Try to call my shot on the Pittsburgh thing. Get me a George Pickens jersey from your little sissy ass. It's gonna lose me this week.
That George Pickens jersey would be pretty, with the black and yellow. That's pretty. But I'm gonna rock the box here. I like getting jerseys from players that
nobody knows.
That the people really don't think you get a jersey like Tyler Matzik for the Braves, man. I want to give me a Tyler Matzik jersey.
Shoot, if anybody watched that World Series, they know who Matzik is. But shoot, we need to do an episode on that. Just good, fun things to do for your league, and that's one thing me and Ian do. We play each other. Whoever loses, you got to buy the other guy a jersey, and it's a good way to collect some good guys from around the league, man. I mean, I want all my guys, man. I want me a Cooper Kupp, even though they're just freaking jerseys ugly as hell. But I would like the JJ Justin Jefferson, but can't wear a Vikings jersey as a Packers fan. I ain't doing that shit. So,
well, you got until next year to figure out which one you want, because you're probably not getting one this year.
We'll do an update on the show later this week. But
we'll come back.
I was just scrolling down a little bit, and the guy we just totally forgot about, and we didn't forget about it because I just caught his ass. DeAndre Swift is at RB 39.
Oh yeah,
he's coming back.
He's coming back, dude. I mean, dude, he was the number 2.
To the first 2
weeks.
In
like the top. Yeah.
Yeah. You rethinking some of that, Aaron? Let's just real quick, because I'm gonna give my little sleepers for running backs too. But Aaron Jones or DeAndre Swift?
Man, week 3, I would have picked DeAndre Swift all day. But it's kind of hard right now, man, because Green Bay just they're not doing what they need to do. Aaron Jones, how many touchdowns did he have at this point last year? It's I don't even know, but he's only got one touchdown. He's got one touchdown this year.
One
I
rushing,
mean,
one rushing touchdown. He's had 3 reception touchdowns.
okay, that's so he's got 4. He's got 4 on the year, and it's I probably pick Swift over Aaron Jones right now, man. That's hard to say, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I think him coming back, you know what I mean, and I really like their head coach. I like Matt LaFleur as well, but what watching Swift, he played for the Bulldogs, so he understands that grit, you know what I mean, and he knows how to get down there, and watching him on Hard Knocks, you know, when he gets criticism for what he does, and like going back to what I've said time and time again, I don't focus as much on stats as I do watching the player on the field and watching what they do in the media and how they talk and this, that, and the other. And when he gets criticism from coaches, he's okay. I got you. I need it. I got to do it. I can do it. You know what I mean? And he's one of those guys that just puts his head down, just kind of like Chubb, just kind of puts his head down and speaks on the field. And
Yeah.
so that says a lot, and I hate to say it, but I think Aaron Jones is kind of coming to the end of his reign over there. And I don't know.
I love Aaron Jones, man. He's my favorite player on the Packers. He's a military brat. He just looks like a good dude, and he
Yeah.
plays as hard. I feel like he runs harder than anybody in the league. He's averaging 5.5 yards per carry right now, and for the same
Hell yeah.
team, AJ Dillon's averaging 3.9. So who's the better? We all know who the better running back is in Green Bay, but going on, I'm gonna give my little 3 sleepers right now. One is Cam Akers. Psych. It's not Cam Akers. Cam Akers is it. I don't know where he's gonna be, but it's not Cam Akers.
You tickled me. You tickled me on that one.
Well, Gus Edwards for sure.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I feel kind of I don't know the right word, but I think it's too late to say that he's a sleeper. I've had him on my bench for 3 weeks in my IR spot, just waiting for Gus to come back. And it just somehow happened where J.K. Dobbins is put on IR at the same time as Gus comes back. But Kenyon Drake had 11 carries for 5 yards last week.
Mm-hmm.
That's straight up ass. And Gus had 16 for 66, 4 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns in his first game back.
And that's straight up boss. I mean, this kid. So let me take y'all back to last year. So we were drafting
year
one
before.
Of our leagues.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, last year we were drafting one of our leagues during the very last preseason game on a Saturday, and the Ravens were playing. I don't care who they were playing; it doesn't matter. But what happened was I drafted J.K. Dobbins in first round.
It was like the
round,
second or third or something.
And during our draft, J.K. Dobbins tears his ACL. So in like the 5th or 6th round, I get Gus Edwards, and I'm like, I'm good. And then in that same game, he tears his ACL again. And it just totally put my team into shambles. But that being said, Gus Edwards.
Yeah. It's just as good as Dobbins.
It's just as good as Dobbins, and if not better. And I think what makes him better is the fact that he's kind of more the sleeper back. He's the one that kind of plays behind.
He's the banger.
He is a banger, man, and he's Gus Buzz for a reason. The only what's the I'm a trivia you right quick, cousin. So what other running back has had the nickname Bus?
Jerome Bettis.
Jerome Bettis. And Gus has got to live up to that, dude, and I think he will, man. You know, it's Gus season. It's Gus time. I saw him playing last week, and I was like, "Dadgummit, I wish I had him." And I'm a little bit worried about you having him. You know what I mean? I got to play you this week, and you got old Bus down there, and I'm hoping my guys can handle it, dude.
They won't be able to. Don't you worry. JT, all I need is JT to match Henry. I just need JT to match Henry, and I got you beat. But another one I want to talk about. Like we got Gus Bus. I think everybody has Alexander Madison rostered, and that's not what I'm saying. This is not my guy that I want to be my sleeper. But I think we've seen enough out of Deion Jackson when Taylor goes out. I think you need to keep this man on your team. If you picked him up when Taylor was out, even though Hines was out, I think that Deion Jackson can step right in and he's not Jonathan Taylor, don't get me wrong, but he's up there in them premier handcuff category for me. Like Alexander Madison, I wouldn't even put Pollard there because he's getting a lot of rushing attempts on his own. But this is more of a thing just saying if you did draft him or not draft him, if you picked him up, just don't drop him yet because you want to keep him if JT
especially
ends up
in a dynasty league.
Yeah. Especially in Dynasty League. I seen him on free agency in a Dynasty League. I'd jump all over that. Right. I would definitely jump all over that. But shoot, that's about it I got for the sleepers.
What's your number 3, man? You got to have one more, dude.
Man, my number 3.
I'll do it for you. Latavius Murray. What do you think about him?
No, I'm not. No, don't even. They just signed Marlon Mack, and I think they're going to play him.
Did they really?
Yeah, they just signed Marlon Mack and said that he will be active and will start. So, or not will start.
Why are they not playing Melvin Gordon?
I don't know. They just don't. They don't like him for some reason. But I guess all right. Here's a sleeper because he's been on IR for a while. If you can go trade for him, Cordero Patterson.
Is he coming back?
Yep. Not this week. It did say in the news that he's aiming for week 9. And he was going off at the start of the year. If you can, if you're especially in a dynasty league, if you're trying to win now, the Falcons are running pretty much more than anybody in the NFL. Cordero in his 3 games played this year, 22, 4, and 22 points. 7, his last game that he played before he got injured, a full game, was 17 rushing attempts for 141 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, I would try to go get Cordero if you could. I would trade. Man, there's a lot of folks I would trade. I would trade Najee. I would trade Najee Harris for Cordero Patterson for the rest of this year. Yeah, okay. Of course. I would definitely do that. I would trade Najee in a heartbeat. I would trade.
What about Devin Singletary? Gibson. Would you trade Devin Singletary?
Yes, I would. I think I would.
Okay.
The Falcons have just shown me that they love running the hell out of the ball.
Well, I see somebody right here. I'm sorry. One more thing. Alvin Kamara is down at RB 29 on where I'm looking at, man. Do you think that's where he deserves to be, or do you think he's going to move on up?
Oh, hell no. I got him in full PPR. You might be looking at half, but in full, I got him at 23 behind Najee, only playing 5 games. I'm putting him way above Khalil Herbert, who's ahead, Antonio Gibson, Jamal Williams, Clyde. I'm thinking he's in the RB 10 range. Antonio Gibson, even with Brian Robinson coming in, Antonio Gibson's been okay, but this shit ain't gonna keep. I don't think that ship has done sailed. I think, and I don't know if you can get rid of him or not, but I mean,
yeah, no, and I saw Alvin Kamara sitting on the sidelines, last week, just shaking his head and just every time he's out there, every time he gets the ball, every time he's toting the rock, he's just unstoppable. It seems like, and I think he's so upset, that it's what's going on with their offense right
That they
now. But
suck so bad.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Yeah, but
I,
he's kind of bust proof. He hadn't scored any touchdowns this whole entire year because old Taysom Hill keeps stealing them from him.
yep,
But I mean, the last 3 weeks without a touchdown in a full PPR league, you're looking at 22, 18, and 17. I mean, he's been
yeah, dude,
incredible.
he's got over two. I mean, he's got like 50 points in 60 points in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
Yeah,
good. It's like, yeah,
yeah. I didn't even see him down there. That was definitely one we need to talk about. Who was ranked too low.
yeah.
And you believe in Kyron Williams, so does that? You don't believe in Daryl Henderson? I don't guess.
Well, Darrell Henderson, I feel like has had his chance, and when he's had his chance in the past, he he put up good numbers, but from the look of it and from the sound of it, with the coaches and everything talking, I don't know, man. He doesn't seem to be producing that much, man. I mean, he had I don't know. He had 0 rushing attempts week 5, 5 receptions saved him, but he had 12 attempts, week 6 before the bye, and 3 catches or 2 catches. I think it'll be a position battle, but like I said, I mean, it's a young man's game, and I mean, Darrell Henderson, he you gonna have to show me something. You're gonna have to show me something, man. I mean, 9, 10, 1, 5, 5, 12. That ain't cutting it.
12,
You
but
know,
12, you can just go with 12 because that's his first
12.
week without Akers.
Yeah,
But he
12.
scored a
12 is
touchdown.
solid.
He scored a
12
touchdown.
is solid. 12 with a touchdown is not solid.
Yeah, it's not that great, but dude, we're
But
going on like 2 hours talking about running backs, and we're still not done.
okay,
We're still not done. We ain't got
we
no
we can
limits.
keep we
We ain't
can
got
keep
no
going,
limits.
bro.
Don't worry.
We can talk about Mark Ingram.
We ain't
You
gonna
know,
talk
we
about Mark Ingram. I ain't got time for that.
we can
But
talk about Benjamin. I mean, come on, just not bring him out.
well, I'm just hit these boys. I'm just hit these boys right quick, like
Go
real
ahead.
quick. I'm gonna hit them with my RB risers. This is different from sleepers. Sleepers are kind of down low, but my RB risers is gonna be like just players I think are coming up in the world. So that's Raheem Mostert. I think he's coming up in the world.
Yeah.
I would have him over Zeke. I'd have him over. Oh, oh man, it gets tough. I'd definitely have him over Clyde. He'd be in my top 15 if I had to rank him right now. Jamal Williams way above him. I'd have him above Singletary, David Montgomery. Um, what do you think about Mostert?
Yeah, man, I agree, dude. He's a and the only thing that's held Mostert back his entire career is his injury history, man. I mean, when he's on the field and he's healthy, he's a good producer, dude. Yeah, and I think as long as he stays healthy, I mean that Miami offense is they're clicking with Tua, and yeah, I think he'd be a good person. I'd be happy to have him in my flex spot for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been getting a lot of trades for Mostert, trade offers where I have them, people want them. Oh, I want to tell you about this trade real quick in my high school league. Jordan's trying to trade me Mark Andrews and DK Metcalf for, was it Mostert? Yeah, it was Mostert and Gerald Everett. I should hit that, shouldn't I?
You said it was Mark Andrews and DK Metcalf.
Yes, for Mark Andrews, Mostert, and Mooney. I should
Well,
I should hit that quick, right? Just accept it.
yeah,
Metcalf is hurt.
probably. That's why I was just looking. I was trying to read up on Metcalf.
They said that he could play this week.
Feeling
I don't think he's going to
better.
play.
Yeah, but he'll be back before the end of the year. Yeah, yeah. I think you should go for that. As long as Metcalf is gonna come back. I mean, just getting Mark Andrews for Mostert. I think. I mean, last week, yeah. He put up a fucking goose egg, but he's still undeniably, one of the top 5 tight ends in the league. Oh my God. I
Top
just started
5,
looking.
top 2.
Dude, I started looking at his points 12, 30, 32, 4, 26, 27.
He's
I mean,
incredible.
incredible. Yeah. Yeah. Even if you were just trading Mostert for Andrews, yeah, I would definitely do it.
Yeah, I told him that I was going to wait and see if Metcalf just gets on the field a little bit this week. And I just need him to, because his injury could go on for like 5 weeks. I mean, Pete Carroll is the most optimistic head coach in all of football. When Chris Carson had his neck injury, Pete Carroll was like, I think he might be out there next week. Then he
Good to
retired a few
go.
days
Yeah.
later. So I got
No,
to
but
see Metcalf out there actually on the field running around before I do that.
I do want to shout out Pete Carroll because last week a lot of people didn't see it. Actually, probably nobody saw it, but there was a point where Geno Smith thought that there was an offsides. I think that's against the defense. He thought the defense jumped the snap, and he went over and Pete Carroll was talking to the ref, and Geno came over and he was kind of yelling at the ref, and he started walking away, and Pete turns to him. He's like, Geno, Geno. And Geno turns around, and all Pete does, you can't see me, but he just kind of like touches his chest, and he moves his hand down his body, and kind of tells Geno to like rapport, like just calm it down, like get professional. You know what I mean? And I just that was something that really kind of I was like, okay, Pete. All right, Pete, you ain't done. Pete's not done, dude. His old gum chewing ass.
70 years old, just chewing the hell. I need to figure out what kind of gum he's chewing so I can chew that shit so I can look like that at 70 and have that much energy. Like
Yep,
double
yep.
bubble.
Old lint liquor.
What's that man chewing in? What you think?
Dude, he gotta be Orbit. It's gotta be Orbit.
Yeah, when you get in players' faces and cuss them out and shit, you need your breath to be smelling right.
That's right.
Well, shoot, man, you got any other RBs that you want to talk about before we head on out of here? And, just somebody you think is a little underrated or anything like that? Or you think we done covered everything a little bit?
Let me look. Let me look and make sure. I felt like there was one that I wanted to touch on.
Don't be touching on players now, man. That ain't
I
not what we're going
well,
for here on the
you're right.
Crazy Dynasty podcast.
You're right. Maybe I shouldn't touch on them, but no, I think we covered the lot of it. I mean, long as Connor's out, I think Benjamin's a start. Pollard, but yeah, I think we did good. I think we said enough. I could go on for days, but
Yeah, I can go on for days. I'm gonna ask you one simple question. Pull up your schedule for this week. Who is the barring injury? Who is your RB? Who is the best running back to have this week in fantasy football?
best running back to have this
Who's
week.
going to score the most?
Oh, let me pull up my schedule. Let's see. Damn, dude, you kind of hit me with a hard banger.
Yeah.
Hit me with the yeah. I think it's gonna be. Oh, why did I even guess about this? It's Derrick Henry.
Okay. Derrick Henry against the Texans.
I think it's DH.
Whew, he's going to tear the Texans alive.
Yeah. I don't even know why I thought about that. I think it's Derrick Henry. Either that or Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor might have a great bounce back against Washington, I believe.
Yes, Washington. I'm gonna go with Derrick Henry also, but my number 2 will be Saquon against the Seahawks. I'm incredibly confident in that one. But shoot, man, let's go ahead and get on out of here. You got anything to say to the folks, man? And
no, man, I just really appreciate you guys having me on here, man. And I love Matt. Hope your baby's okay. And this is really cool what we got going on. And I'm just
super excited to be a part of this, dude. I can sit here and talk fantasy football every day, all day, which is what I do anyways. So might as well help out some of you trollers and guys who don't really pay attention because I do it just because I love to do it. And it's good to be a part of something bigger than myself, which is saying a lot because I'm pretty big.
Not weight wise. You're talking about just ego wise.
Just
big.
just hypothetically huge.
Okay, so you're just like I said, your ego is just freaking massive.
Yeah, like if you know, like the size of remember Pangea?
Oh my god,
like 10 times larger than Pangea.
I wasn't expecting that shit when I told you to talk to the people, but we definitely love having you on for sure. And this is my first time doing the hosting thing. It was all right.
You did good. I think you did great.
Matt's the OG, man. We need Matt back. Matt is the OG host. He runs the show. Can't give enough props to that man. He's allowed me to get on, and do this. I give all my thanks to him. And we're just gonna try to drop. We're just gonna try to drop. We do these things to as much content to make the people content. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So we're just gonna keep rolling, talk about the things that people want to hear, and me personally, I really want to hit on these running backs because when it comes down to flex positions and stuff like that, I really want to know how to play, who to play at the running back position, and get a feel of where the values of these guys are. So shoot, but we're gonna go ahead and get out of here, man. Cruise Dynasty Podcast, 5-star review. Hit us up on our Twitter accounts, not mine, not Ian's, on Matt's, maybe Phil's account, and Big Dunk. I'm not looking forward for him to get on next time because he beat me by 1 point in our Dynasty League last week. And me and him both had the highest point scored, 182 to 183.
I didn't even realize that, dude. I can't believe
he's a piece of shit, but he'll be on the next episode, and y'all will all realize, he's a little piece of shit who beat Austin in the Dynasty League. But
yeah, dude. And if I can give one more word of advice to anybody listening, man, draft your running backs, man. If you don't use them, you can always trade them.
True that. I'm still down with it. Things are starting to even up as the week goes on. As the year goes on, it looked like that it was a bad thing to draft running backs early, but it's starting to pan out a little bit now. So, but I appreciate everybody for listening. The millions of viewers we got, man. I'm telling you, tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your daddy. Yeah. Tell everybody, man.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. The Cruise Dynasty Podcast is in, and you are out. Peace.
Because Ian is touching on all the running backs. Peace.